Winter in the Middle Ages was truly brutal. You think you're cold now? Just wait until you hear how they kept warm. And let's just say their idea of heating included a lot of firewood and sharing a home with the family pig. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. In this video, you will learn about the detailed and harsh reality medieval people faced, and how they managed to survive one of the harshest seasons of the year. How did they deal with illness? What dangers lurked outside their drafty homes? How did they transport goods and themselves when snow blanketed the ground? And what were the unique ways they entertained themselves during the long, dark months? All this will be covered in the next few minutes, so let's not waste any more time and get straight to the good part. The first order of business in medieval life was staying warm. In a time before central heating, this was a matter of survival. Here, clothing was crucial, and medieval people relied heavily on wool, which was valued for its insulating properties. Peasants would wear multiple layers: a simple woolen tunic over a linen shirt topped with a heavy cloak fastened with a brooch. Some even wore hoods, or cowl caps, made of wool or fur to keep the chill at bay. When it came to housing, most families lived in simple 1- or 2-room structures made of wattle and daub, which is a framework of woven branches covered with a mixture of mud and straw. These homes had thatched roofs made of reeds or straw, which were prone to leaks. To add insult to injury, many families shared their living spaces with livestock, like pigs, chickens, or goats, because they provided additional warmth. The downsides for this are obvious. We are talking about hygiene issues, health risks from zoonotic diseases, space constraints, noise disturbances, and even the potential for food theft by pigs, who are notorious for rooting through anything they can reach. Now, the heart of a medieval home was the hearth, a large fireplace that served multiple purposes: cooking, heating, and light. This communal space was essential for daily life, but it came with its challenges. The hearth produced thick smoke, which would fill the room, leading to soot-covered walls and the risk of respiratory issues. Accidental fires were also common, and homes were often constructed closely together, which increased the risk of fire spreading through the entire village. While keeping warm was important, the dangers of winter loomed large. Particularly, the winter of 1315 to 1317 is a stark reminder of how quickly things could turn dire. Heavy rains and flooding destroyed crops across Europe, which led to widespread famine. In many areas, people resorted to desperate measures, like eating tree bark or grass, to survive. Moreover, chroniclers of the time even reported that some villagers turned to cannibalism when all other food sources were exhausted. Snowstorms were another formidable foe. During a particularly harsh winter in 1340, heavy snowfall trapped families indoors for weeks. Just imagine being confined to your home with little food and nowhere to go, watching the snow pile up while your children grew restless. It's only natural that such conditions would lead to heightened tension within households. Other than that, winter was a breeding ground for illness. The lack of proper sanitation and the close quarters in which families lived made it easy for diseases to spread. The plague of the 14th century, which swept through Europe, was also exacerbated by the cold winter months. It's clear that illness could strike at any moment, but this begs the question: how did medieval medicine treat diseases back then? Medieval medicine relied heavily on herbs and natural remedies, as well as the teachings of ancient scholars like Hippocrates and Galen. Thyme, for example, was often used as a cough remedy and an antiseptic. Other than that, elderberry syrup was popular for treating colds and flu, and women would often brew herbal teas or tinctures using locally available plants, like chamomile for soothing and peppermint for digestive issues. The practice of bloodletting was also common, based on the belief that illness was caused by an imbalance of the 4 bodily humors. While this practice might seem barbaric today, medieval healers would use leeches or cut a vein to remove what they believed was bad blood. In cases of more severe ailments, local wise women or herbalists often served as the community healers. By using knowledge which was passed down through generations, these healers would gather herbs from the forest and fields, creating poultices for wounds or ointments for skin infections. Additionally, winter was a time when families might turn to divination practices to seek guidance for health issues. Some would use riddles or charms as protective measures against sickness, believing that invoking good spirits could lead to better health outcomes. Despite the harsh conditions, community played a vital role in winter survival. Winter festivals, such as Yule, offered a chance for everyone to come together and celebrate. People would light candles and hold feasts, sharing whatever they had. To give you a vivid picture, just imagine a bustling medieval hall filled with laughter, the smell of roasting meats wafting through the air, and families playing games together. Chess, in particular, was a favorite among the nobility because of its complex strategy and power dynamics, while backgammon, with its faster pace, appealed to a wider audience. Physical games also held a prominent place in medieval life. Wrestling was particularly popular, often held in barnyards or community halls, where villagers would compete to demonstrate their strength and skill. Another engaging activity was staff fighting, where participants would spar with wooden staffs or sticks. This form of martial training was not just a sport. It prepared young men for potential conflicts and reinforced the importance of physical fitness in a time of frequent wars. Lastly, the long winter nights also gave rise to storytelling, where elders would share tales of bravery and folklore, which kept history alive for the younger generations. The tales of King Arthur and his knights, for instance, became popular because it provided a sense of hope and adventure during the dark months. In the harsh medieval winter months, roads often became buried under snow and ice, so getting from one place to another became a challenge that could turn even a simple trip into a deadly journey. As the weather turned, people adapted by using sleds and sleighs, which were much better suited for winter travel. These sturdy vehicles, often pulled by horses or oxen, featured wide runners that glided over the snow, which allowed for smoother travel than wheeled carts. Sleds became a lifeline for many communities, as they transported not just people, but also essential goods like firewood, food, and even mail. However, not everyone had the luxury of a sled. For many, walking was the primary means of getting around. Thick, sturdy boots were essential for trudging through the snow, and those brave enough to venture out often moved in groups for safety. Traveling alone could be risky, as slips and falls were common hazards in the icy conditions. In regions with frozen rivers, some people took advantage of the ice. Ice skates, made from wood or metal, allowed for quicker movement across the frozen surface, while goods could be sledded across the river if the ice was thick enough to bear the weight. It was quite the gamble, but when it worked, you would save a significant amount of time. Folk beliefs generally played a significant role in medieval life, and this was amplified during winter. Many people believed that the cold months were rife with supernatural activity, and naturally various customs emerged to protect against bad luck and illness. One common superstition was that of the dark nights. People believed that the long nights were when spirits roamed freely, and they often lit extra candles or kept a fire burning to ward off any malevolent forces. Interestingly, there were also certain animals which were seen as harbingers of either good or bad luck. For example, the behavior of the hedgehog was believed to predict the length of winter. If it ventured out of its burrow and saw its shadow, it meant 6 more weeks of winter. Meanwhile, the appearance of certain birds, like robins, was taken as a sign that spring was on its way. Additionally, families often hung garlands of herbs above their doors, such as rosemary and thyme, which were thought to protect the household from evil spirits, and even practices like sprinkling salt around the home were believed to cleanse spaces of negativity and attract good fortune. That's all for today. Thank you for watching until the end. By the way, if you liked the video, it would mean the world to me if you could quickly smash the like and subscribe button, and see you in the next one.